Okay, in this section we're starting to talk about long division, and I picked the hardest one that I could choose to start with, so you see the worst one. The first thing you notice is that your dividend here is not in descending order. So the first thing that you want to do is write it in descending order, starting with the x cubed. The next thing you notice is it doesn't have an x term. It has x cubed and then it has x squared, but it doesn't have an x term. So you either need to leave a gap in the division house, like so, or you need to put a 0 in there to represent that there are no regular x to the ones. But you need to do one or the other, because you're going to need that space in there. Your divisor is 3x minus 4. If you look in your textbook, it tells you steps for division. You're welcome to use those steps. Now, what I'm looking for first is I need to multiply this 3x here by something that would give me 9x cubed. Okay, so I know that 3x times 3 would give me 9. 3 times 3 would give me 9. I need x cubed. I already have 1x, so I need 2 more x's. So I get 3x squared there. Now here's the tricky part. You're going to take that 3x squared and multiply it by both terms. So this would give you 9x cubed, but also multiply it by the 4. So that would give you negative 12x squared. So remember to multiply it down by both terms. That's where I usually lose people. So let me say that one more time. You're going to take that 3x squared and multiply it here. That's how I got 9x cubed. But you also multiply it by the 4. So that's how you get the 12. Now, the next thing that you're going to do when you use long division is you're going to subtract. Now I subtract a little funny. So I'm going to be subtracting the 9x cubed and the 12x squared. So I do mine this way. When I draw my line, I change my signs. Because changing the signs, that's the same thing as subtracting. So if I change the sign of this 9, it becomes negative. And I change the sign of this 12, it becomes positive. So a 9x cubed and a 9x cubed cancel out. And in the middle, I'm going to get 18x squared. I bring down my 0x, and then I repeat. If you had trouble with the signs, I'll show you, you'll see an example here as we go. It'll happen again. Now I start back over. This time I'm looking for an 18. So 3 times 6 would give me 18. I'm looking for an x squared. So I already have 1x. So x times x would give me x squared. I'm going to take that 6x and multiply it by both terms. So 6x times 3x would give me 18x squared. And 6x times a negative 4 would give me negative 24x. Remember to multiply by both terms of the divisor. Now then, I have to subtract that bottom row. Well, subtracting is the same thing as changing the sign. So when I draw the line, I change the sign. The 18 becomes negative. Changing the sign of the 24 makes it positive. Your 18x squared cancels out. Your 18x squared cancels out. And this gives me here a 24x. Bring down the minus 30. So then we have to do it one more time. So this time I'm looking for a 24x. So 3 times 8 would give me 24. I don't need any more x's. So if I multiply by both terms, 8 times 3x would be 24x. And 8 times negative 4 would be a negative 32. When I draw my line, I change my signs. So the 24 becomes negative, the 32 becomes positive, and the 24 adds out. You'll see that the first column should always add out. Negative 32 plus 30 would give me a remainder of 2. Now I write my answer as 3x squared plus 6x plus 8 with a remainder of 2. Your textbook and your My Math Lab is going to write the answer. They're going to take that 2 and they're going to put it on the end and they're going to put it over the divisor. So be prepared. I'm not quite sure which way you'll see it in the My Math Lab homework, so it's either one or the other. Make sure you're prepared either way. The second type that you have is synthetic division. Here are your rules for synthetic division. Of course, you can print those out as well. You can only use synthetic division if the divisor is of a certain form. It needs to be a plain x, meaning an x to the 1, and a constant on the end. Now, here are the questions I tell my students to ask all the time. Is this missing an x? And lastly, what is c? Okay, this one is missing an x. Yes, because if you look at the top, it goes x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, but there is no x to the 2nd. So it's missing an x. Now here's how you find c. My divisor is x minus 4. To give you the quick and easy answer, you change the sign. So my divisor is x minus 4. That means c is going to be positive 4. To find c, change the sign. Now in your notes on the previous slide, it tells you that you need to write down the coefficients and include a 0 for any missing power of x. So my coefficients are 3, negative 11, 0, negative 18, and 8. Now let's talk about that one more time. We had the 3 here, the negative 11 here. Remember, there was no x squared, so you had to put a 0 in the x squared position. Then you had negative 18, and then you had 8. Now, I make mine into a little box, and my c value goes here. That's how you set it up with synthetic division. So take a minute to look at that. Make sure you see how all the numbers came into being. Here's how it works. You bring down your first one. Bring down your first one. So I bring the 3 down. If it's on the bottom, you multiply. So you're going to multiply and then add. Multiply and then add all the way across. Here's what I mean. If it's on the bottom, you multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. So that's where your 12 goes. If it's in the column, you add it up. So this little part right here, I add. That's what it would give me. Now I'm back on the bottom. 4 times 1 is 4. Add these up. 4 times 4 is 16. Add these up. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Add these up. Now my answer is not 314 negative 20, but it's very close. So what you're going to do to find your answer is you always begin 1 power less. Your answer begins 1 power less. Than the problem. So if you look back at the top, my problem was x to the 4th. So this piece right here is going to start with x to the 3rd. So it would be 3x to the 3rd plus 1x to the 2nd plus 4x minus 2, and this guy on the back is considered the remainder. Of course, if your remainder is 0, you don't have to put it, but that's where that comes into play.